You finally received your invitation for your marriage green card interview, and while feeling very excited, you might also feel quite nervous. In today's video, we're going to talk about what exactly you need to bring to your marriage green card interview. Hi guys, my name is Ksenia and I make videos for people who are going through the family immigration process. I'm not an attorney. My videos are based on public information, my own experience, and the experience of my subscribers, and the purpose of my channel is to give you guys the confidence to go through this process completely on your own. I already have a couple of videos talking about the most commonly asked questions, as well as some important tips, do's and don'ts during your marriage green card interview. So definitely check out those two videos. But today specifically, let's look at an actual interview invitation notice, which should guide you in what exactly you need to bring with you. USCIS notices tend to be quite wordy, so it's kind of easy to miss important information. So with any USCIS notice, do make sure to read every single line, as it will explain to you exactly what you need to do. Firstly, let's look at the very bottom of the first page of your notice, and you will see where exactly you will have your interview, when, so on what date, and what time. It is very unlikely that you will actually start your interview early or even on time. Most applicants end up going into their interview room about 15 to 30 minutes past their actual invitation time. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad thing. Just because they're not coming out to the waiting area to greet you at that time doesn't mean that they're not actually looking through the paperwork in order to quickly refresh their memory and prepare for your interview. In some cases, a USCIS officer may come out to the waiting area, introduce themselves, and ask if you have any new evidence to submit. A lot of the times, they will take that evidence and go back to their office to quickly take a look at that evidence. Then they will invite you to the interview room. But do make sure to arrive early, not only because it is a good way to show that you want to be there and that you are prepared, but also because once you arrive, there are some security checks that you might have to go through. The security gate, in some cases you may have to take off some pieces of clothing, such as your coat, sometimes even your shoes. Sometimes they will ask to look through your bag. So you do want to allow extra time for that. Now let's talk about who should come to the interview. First and foremost, of course, you must appear at your scheduled interview. If you don't come to your interview appointment, USCIS is likely to just send you a notice of intent to deny, or even right away a denial. Now, if you didn't know about your interview, if the notice came in too late and you had no idea, that is a little bit of a different story, and at that point I would try to hire professional help to figure out how to remediate that situation. If your eligibility is based on marriage to your US citizen or permanent resident spouse, they must come with you also. There are some exceptions for military spouses. If, for some reason, your spouse is unable to attend the interview because they are deployed somewhere or they have an assignment, it is not worth rescheduling your interview and delaying your case by many more weeks or even months. USCIS will still conduct an interview with you alone, but you should bring evidence showing why your spouse wasn't able to attend. Next, they do talk about bringing an interpreter if English is not your first language, if you're not speaking it fluently. The interviews are usually conducted in English. Sometimes USCIS officers speak a specific language, especially in cases like Spanish, for example, but in most cases, it is your responsibility to secure an interpreter. It doesn't have to be a professional interpreter. It can be a third party, such as a friend or a family member who is not necessarily involved in your case. It cannot be either you or the petitioner translating for each other. If you have an authorized representative or an attorney, they can also come to the interview with you. If you did not have an attorney before your interview and you did your case by yourself, but now you would like to have an attorney present, of course you can hire somebody, but usually that comes with quite a hefty fee of your file review, as well as interview preparation and attendance from the attorney. In most cases, people don't need an attorney to attend an interview with them. What you need to keep in mind is also that attorneys cannot really participate in an interview on your behalf. Either you, the applicant, or the petitioner will have to be the one who answers the USCIS officer's questions. Also, having or not having an attorney doesn't really increase your chances of approval. And the final point in this part says that if you are attending your interview based on the parent-child relationship, that the petitioning parent or the petitioning child must also attend the interview. The next part of the interview invitation letter talks about what you should bring. I recommend that you have a specific dedicated folder where you should be putting all the things that you will bring with you to the interview. You must bring the interview invitation notice. Do make a copy for your own records. You can also access a copy of this interview invitation letter in the USCIS account. Usually in the Documents tab, USCIS will also upload a copy just like the one we're looking at right now. Next, they're asking that you bring your government-issued photo ID. For the applicant who's applying for the green card, that would be your foreign passport. If you have multiple passports, bring all of them with you. Next, if required, you will need to bring a completed medical examination envelope, but that is only for those of you who have not yet completed it. Now that USCIS requires you to submit the medical exam with the initial submission of I-485, it is unlikely that you will have to bring the medical exam with you. This is why there is a note in parentheses that says unless already submitted. So you don't have to get a new medical exam if you have already sent it in your case. Next, they talk about the sponsorship documents, which is the I-864 affidavit of support. Again, if you see in parentheses, it says unless already submitted. So if you have already sent your sponsorship documents and USCIS accepted your file, you got your interview invitation letter, you do not need to bring all of that to the interview. But there may be instances where you had some major information updated, such as your petitioner has started a new job. Maybe you decided to obtain a joint sponsor, or maybe you decided to change your joint sponsor. In that case, you will need to bring all of those updated forms to the interview. Bring a brand new I-864 with you, as well as supporting documentation for that. If you had filed updated tax returns before you received your interview invitation, of course, bring those updated taxes with you as well. And they can serve as both proof of the petitioner's or sponsor's ability to sponsor you, as well as maybe evidence of your marriage if you filed your taxes jointly. Next, it is asking you to bring all documentation establishing your eligibility for your green card, including proof of status, just to establish the grounds on which you are applying for a green card. Any immigration related documents issued to you, they're specifically talking about any employment authorizations that you have ever received and any travel permits that you have ever received, updated I-797 notices stating that your status has changed or that your status has been extended. Next, they are asking that you bring all travel documents that you use to enter the United States. So bring all your passports, especially the expired passport, which was used for initial entry. And if you have a new passport now, bring that with you as well. If you got advanced parole documents, bring that. Any other travel documents, as well as your I-94, which you can obtain from the CBP website, and a visa in your passport. Next, you must bring your birth certificate, and this is referring to the birth certificate of the applicant, the person who is applying for a green card. You must bring the original with you, as well as a translation and a copy. Next, you will also need to bring your petitioner's proof of status in the United States. So that is their birth certificate, passport, naturalization certificate, or their green card, and also their driver's license. The USCIS officer will scan your petitioner's driver's license at the interview. If you have any children, bring birth certificates of those children as well. The last sub point, if you are coming to a marriage green card interview, you also will need to bring documentation establishing your relationship with your spouse, that it is real, true, bona fide marriage. And they give some suggestions to you of what kind of evidence they're looking for. Now, this is something you should already be familiar with. So first of all, you will need to bring an original of your marriage certificate to the interview. But other than that, also all of the other bona fides of marriage. You should have already submitted most of this evidence with your initial submission of the Form I-130. You most likely have acquired additional marital evidence. You should be bringing new evidence to your interview, even if you have been using the unsolicited evidence tab on your online USCIS account to upload all of the new evidence throughout your waiting time. I do also suggest that you separate your marital evidence into old and new folders. One of them should contain brand new evidence that you would like to present at your interview, so any updated photographs, updated trips, updated financial documents, maybe additional bank statements, tax returns, a new lease or mortgage, and put it in a folder that specifically is labeled new evidence. And the final couple of points, it does talk about bringing the originals and copies of all supporting documents. If you are bringing originals of your birth certificate, your marriage certificate, IDs, passports, you should also bring copies of them as well with you. Make sure that you're not leaving the interview without your originals, because sometimes it can be quite a headache to obtain them back. If you have any evidence that you would like to leave with them that you already have a copy of on your computer at home, you obviously don't have to bring multiple copies of that. Finally, if you have any arrests, even driving related tickets, offenses, etc., you should bring those with you as well. Any court dispositions, if charges were dismissed or expunged, you still will need to obtain those. And if you have never ever had any violations, then you don't have to do anything here. Some of the documents are in a foreign language. Of course, you must bring a translation of those documents with you, such as, for example, your birth certificate. If you've liked this video, found it useful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, check out the other recommended videos we talked about today, and I hope to see you guys in my next videos. Bye!